Good morning RC fans, Racing 393. This is the finished product. I'm going to show you how we got there. So this is my tutorial video on how I build my diffs for my TT01 and TT01E chassis. This is an aftermarket product, and the main purpose for this video is just to show newbies, if you've never done it before, or the first time you're getting into RC and you bought yourself one of these, not specifically one of these because these will come with the kit, but they're all pretty much the same. This isn't a Tamiya product by any stretch. That includes the output shafts either, but the standard stock unit is pretty much the same. After the video, there's going to be a link in the description of where you can buy these prepared. So if you've got your own one, you can give it a go, or if you just like to sort of buy one that's already been prepared for you, it will come less these drive cups. It's just this part here. Includes obviously this, the gears inside, and the grease, and the seal, which has come out a little bit on this particular one, but the seal does keep majority of the grease in there so that it shouldn't come out. These ain't perfect fits by any stretch, and that goes for the standard Tamiya product as well. So without further ado, let's take one of these apart and we'll start building it up step by step. So this is the unit as you would buy it standard. Now, you don't need to buy this for this. You don't need to buy this because it actually, the kit version is absolutely fine. These are just a slightly harder nylon variant. There's a third, I think, I haven't counted these ones, but 38 to 39 teeth, which is pretty standard. And the gear diff is inside. Now, the grease that you get with the kit is more than adequate. But if you buy a second-hand one and it comes just with a few bits and pieces, you may want to perhaps have a look at these there's two of these in the TT01 and TT01E because it's four-wheel drive, and it's probably worth checking these for wear and tear and making sure that they've been lubricated. They come apart various ways. This one is a hex, various different fitments of the screws. Some are simply crosshead, others are hex. These are hex on these ones, and these are 1/16. So we're going to take these three screws out. This isn't hard work, but this is just general maintenance, which I would suggest or encourage anyone to do who's into RC or is perhaps just getting into RC. Now the TT01 and TT01E chassis and they've been around a few years, but they're a great introduction into the world of RC racing, and they come in many different models. You have a basic model, TT01, TT01E. There is TT02, and there's even variants of that as well. So it's worth looking into your requirements. You'll get these relatively cheap, the kits secondhand. So if you're just going to start out in RC and the hobby of RC, it is a very deep hole that you can get yourself into, but it's great fun nevertheless. So I've taken those out and taken it apart. There is some grease in there, as you can see, some standard grease, and these are what we call like you've got like planet wheels and the larger wheels or gears, planet gears and large gears which go around the outside. So this comes out, you've got one of these top and bottom. So I'm going to put that over there on the towel. And in there, we've got three planet wheels, planet gears, which go round a sort of a larger gear on the outside, which creates the sort of the geared effect. Now this particular one doesn't seem to be too bad, I have to say. It's got grease in there already. Now this is a new unit, So all I'm going to do is, rather than take all that out, because it is nicely packed in there, I have to say, is I'm going to add a little bit of, you don't have to use this, but this is the stuff that I use. This is Moly grease from Castrol, and it's a heavy duty grease. This is for like CV joints and other sliding reciprocating movements where a high solid content is required. Now, this is designed for road cars, I'll be honest with you, not RC cars. And I suppose there's many different ways or many different alternatives, but I quite like the brand anyway. Castrol's a very retro brand, and it does very well on this, as you'll see on the one I did earlier on, and that is, it's got some nice resistance there, and it's super smooth. So I think on this particular one, when I built this, I did slightly overfill inside, but I cleaned it all out because there wasn't as much grease on this one. But this one's got a fair bit in there already. Now, because it's new and not been used, I'm just going to pack that out a little bit with this grease. Now, it is a bit messy, like any grease. Again, on your clothes, on your hands, it's not advisable. Well, on your hands, but not on your clothes or anything at home. So I'm not going to put masses on there, but I'm just going to pack the top out to make sure that there's enough in there. Right, so I've got, as well as what was in there, I've just packed that out. So I'm literally now going to clean it off my hands. And the other thing I do is I do clean the edge here off, which is it is a bit messy. And it's difficult to show it on camera because I've got to try and see what I'm doing. So I have cleaned the edge off. And the reason I do that is around that edge there, in a minute, I put a very tiny, small amount of sealant, which hopefully, I didn't do it on this one because I was in a rush, but it will stop it leaking out. Right, I'm just going to wipe the grease off of there. So I've just wiped the grease off. Now you can see that's got little notches on. And on there you've got 1, 2, 3 notches. That has to slide in there. It sort of goes in and clicks in, so it seats flat. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to get some of this gasket. This is how I build all my diffs. This is nothing unusual. In my opinion, and is only an opinion, you should always look after your rally control cars, and especially when buying them second hand. So squeeze a little bit. I'm going to put it onto my finger. You probably don't need nowhere near that much, but I'm just making sure that I don't miss anything. So I've literally just put it onto it's on both fingers there now, but I don't want it to smear everywhere on here. And all I'm going to do is go around the edge. And that's really all you're going to need. Making sure now that I don't forget to put the other drive in. Okay, so we're going to now put the top back on. So just to reiterate, this is a new unit. You'll be able to buy these from me, and I will do the same. I will pack them out with a bit more grease and seal them up, ready for use. So on these particular ones, they would be okay to use standard. But if you buy a second-hand one, you don't know the history, and the chances are that maybe the grease or whatever was in here to start with may have leaked out over time, and it's probably worth checking. And I'm just showing you how I do it. But when you do buy these from me, they will be done to this specification. So I'm literally going to put that together. And that goes on, it just sits in there. There's nothing more to that. And you can see the sealant's just sort of squeezed out the edges very slightly. So what I'm hoping is that will seal on there. Now, the other thing I tend to do, now this is just an alternative, something that I do. Because this is nylon, you don't really want to be putting, well, you can't put normal thread lock to stop these coming out. And because they go into plastic, they don't tend to come loose. This particular gear is sort of, how can I say, it's encapsulated in a casing. So what I tend to do on this face here is put a little bit of sealer over each hole. And the reason for that is simply so that when these go in, they are sealed, which should make a difference anyway. And when it dries, it stops them getting loose, just in case. Because if you over tighten these, there's not a lot you can do actually. If you over tighten, you'd have to go a different sort of thread on there, or I don't suppose you can go slightly bigger because these go into the edge of this cup. So there is the unit back together, and I'm just going to nip these up. Here we go. We're going to hold it together and we'll do them up. So when I do these up, I'm literally just, as they sort of bite in, I don't go right down with them, not initially. Like most things, you just spread the weight a little bit. So when you do one nut, bolt or whatever up and you've got multiple ones to do, is not to do the first one up really tight. And bearing in mind also, these are only nylon, isn't it? So there's not much to this. And you can see it just going in there. So this one, I'll do a little bit tighter. There, it just nips. So it's not even tightened beyond that. So it goes in, that's quite free. Just nips. Last one, nice and free, just nips. And that there is a completed unit. Now, just to clarify, I'm going to put the drive cups in and show you. Drive cups, these are aftermarket drive cups. They're not the ones that come with the kit. So that goes in nicely there. That's there. And there you have a very, very smooth geared diff. Now the diffs come in various different designs. You can get a geared diff like this. You can actually put thicker diff oil in there. You can buy thicker than this, thicker than what I'm using here. And you could really get the gears so that there's a lot of resistance. I wouldn't necessarily encourage you to lock the diff. There are ways you can do that so that the wheels don't spin independently, but we're sort of getting a bit technical now on that. But that there is a nice geared diff. So I'll just reiterate, there's going to be a link in the description where you can buy these prepared. I'll just make sure they're sealed and packed with grease. They don't come with these out shafts. They'll be covered in, I'll probably making sure the oil doesn't leak out. So they'll be cling filmed up, ready for you to install in your car. Now you don't have to have two. The TT01 and the TT01E does have two, front and rear, being four-wheel drive. But like I said, you don't have to have that. And there you have it. So that there's a quick tutorial on how I prepare my diffs. Let me know what you think. I mean, is it something you do? Is it necessary? Is it a waste of time? I mean, I'm not going to go into into too much detail on the TT01 TT01E, but this is for beginners, for people that perhaps haven't done this before. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I appreciate you watching. Happy RCing, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.